I made a mistake. Went down a Reddit thread and found out that a lot of people can't stand me, but they really love my book and my recipes. The chief complaint appears to be that I'm a bit of a negative Nelly, overly serious, and too often play the victim. Look, I'm not above constructive criticism, so today I'm going to tell you a full-on positive feel-good story in which no one is victimized while I make this biscotti from my new book, The Korean Vegan Homemade. So when my first book was announced, I went to the local indie bookstore right by my house, and the plan was to ask whether the bookstore was going to carry my book. But I totally chickened out and did the whole, I'm pretending to look at books, but I'm actually just trying to work up the nerve to ask this really nice looking man at the cash register about my book, when my husband was just like, just ask him already. So I went up to the clerk and was all like, hi, I was just like, wondering whether you might be carrying this book called The Korean Vegan, like maybe? And he clacks away at his keyboard and he goes, yep, it looks like we'll have 3 copies later this fall. Want me to order one for you? To which I stammered, no, that's good. I'm okay. And then hubby butts in, yeah, she's the author. The clerk was super nice and was like, oh, congrats. And I walked out feeling like a celebrity. When my book did come out, I went back to that bookstore and I asked the clerk, hey, would you like me to sign all your copies? At the time, they only had a handful, but I did, and they sold out. They asked me to come back a week later and I signed all their copies again, and they sold out. And I did that, walking back to that store week after week after week for months. And guess what? At the end of the year, when this beautiful, local, independent bookstore that took a chance on a first-time debut cookbook author who wanted to share Korean vegan food with the world, when they tallied up all their sales, mine was their most sold book of the entire year. Now, unfortunately, I no longer live in Chicago next to On a Bridge bookstore, but I am partnering up with NowServingLA to do the same thing. Only this time, I'm not only signing them, I'm going to personalize all of them if you order them now. I love this story so much because this is the magic that can happen only with an independent bookstore.
Hello.